Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. This is going to be the case of Joanna Dennahy. She is batshit crazy. Just plain batshit crazy. So let's get into it. Joanna had somewhat of a normal upbringing. She was brought into a loving home. She had loving parents. Up until sort of her teen years, everything with her was very quote unquote normal. During her teen years, she started sort of getting into trouble in school. She started misbehaving. She started experimenting with drugs, with alcohol. I want to say normal stuff, but I think it sort of went to the above normal stuff. She left home or ran away from home at the age of 16 and never went back. By the age of 17, she was pregnant. She was with her then boyfriend, and they had somewhat of a normal relationship, you could say. She was still very much into, odd partying scene. She wouldn't come home for days. She would go on the highs and on the benders, and eventually her then boyfriend got absolutely fed up and left and took the children with him. She was living in a house with John Campbell. This house was rented from Kevin Lee. Now, Kevin Lee was a local landlord. He had a lot of sort of low income. He would accept benefits, which is a huge plus. So, he had a lot of those kind of houses. He got to know Joanna and they started somewhat of a relationship. I don't feel that it was a relationship as in a love relationship. It was what they could both get out of the relationship. He then hired her as his quote unquote debt collector. She would be sent to the properties who haven't paid their rent in a little while, rough them up a little bit, that kind of thing. It's not abnormal. It's not something that's not done. Debt collectors in the UK are just everyday people. Not all go around beating people up, obviously, but it does happen a lot in our area. Somewhere around this time, she met her boyfriend, Gary Stretch. Now, he is the tall one. For what has been told about him, he is a hefty looking guy. He's 7 foot plus tall. He's not exactly, lanky. He's got a bit of muscle and bone behind him. For all intents and purposes, though, he was that gentle giant. Although he did have run-ins with the old Bill, it was more petty shit like theft and nicking a bike or robbing someone's house. It was all petty stuff, whereas Joanna was very much more the anger issues, and she would hit first and think later. Gary wasn't so much like this, and he was just more, I think for Joanna, it was just a lot that he looked the part. Fast forward into March 2013. Lucas was a friend slash maybe lover. People still not actually sure what it was going on between them. But whatever it was, she decided that he no longer needed to be here. He was stabbed and murdered and placed in sort of a ditch on the side of the road. The same sort of time, within this sort of 10-day patch, she also killed John Chapman. John Chapman was her roommate and her friend. She also then, on the 29th of March, killed Kevin Lee, her landlord slash boss slash whatever else he was. Now, they were all found on the 3rd of April, and it became pretty clear who they were after. After the murders in Peterborough, Gary drove her to Herefordshire. As they were driving, she was on somewhat of a mission. She was in a petrol station, like a gas station. She decided that she wanted to go in there with a basket and just steal everything, which she did. She got back in the car. There was another person in the car, but later he got no charges. I think he just sort of went along, not actually realising what was going to happen and what was going to go on with these two whilst they were on the run in Herefordshire from Peterborough police.
At this point, Joanne is being accompanied by two friends. One of them is Gary Stretch.
Gary knows then that he's got to find her another victim to get her thrill, if you like, somebody else to kill. So he pulls into a cul-de-sac and they come across John Rogers, who is stabbed violently 30 times. She savagely attacks him and she's absolutely sure that she's murdered him.
As you heard, she found a dog walker to... From what I can make out, I think she thought after 30 stab wounds that she'd killed him. Thankfully, she didn't. However, that didn't kill the thirst. She did somewhat find another dog walker. I think this one had 20 plus stab wounds, but she also took a liking to this dog walker's dog and stole the dog to boot. Now, within 2 hours of this attack, both her and Gary had been arrested and taken to the police station.
Joanna Christina Dennehy.
Joanna, you've been arrested before?
Yes.
You've been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and murder. Okay.
Why do we have to come to the station?
So no, he's in the kennel.
Exactly. I know who I am. Thanks. You're very distinctive.
I know. So you keep saying. Bless you, thank you.
You'll get some cover. I'll put this one. Expensive, huh? I've had a really hectic week. Would you be cheering if you got 32 to murder? No, but I'm just smiling. This is amazing.
That's good.
Thanks, man. Oh, it's so good. Real sexy. Murder, something. So going down to Sunday Roast.
Now, as you saw at the police station, she was extremely happy. She was flirting with the officer. The custody sergeant sort of telling her charges and why she was being held. She didn't really care. She did ask about where the puppy was. I think that kind of says a lot for her. It's like, well, I don't care about the men I just possibly killed or did kill. Like, is the puppy okay? You know, is the dog okay? The dog's cute. She was charged and held on remand. She was charged with 3 murders and 2 attempted. 3 murders and 2 attempted murders. I can imagine her being quite pissed off that the other 2 didn't die, but your luck wasn't in that time, girly. So take that. Both Joanna and Gary got held on remand, which again is not unusual here. They, got 3 murders, 2 attempted, so it doesn't surprise me. However, what does surprise me is during Joanna's remand, she came to her wisdom that her and 2 others was going to conspire to kill a screw. A screw is a prison officer in the UK. They were going to kill her, chop her digit off so that they could escape. Clearly, the plan was foiled and she's not that smart of a girl. She did, however, end up in solitary until the trial. Now, solitary in the UK, I'm sure, is not that much similar to anywhere else in the world. You're locked down 23 and a half hours a day, sometimes 24 hours a day if they haven't got the screws to help you. I think you have a shower like 3 times a week. It is pretty grim. It is really, really grim. However, somewhere after this, she goes to a pre-trial hearing along with Gary. Whilst there, she decided in her wisdom that she was going to plead out. She pled guilty to all 11 charges that were against her, stating to the judge, "I don't wish to talk about it. I'm pleading guilty. What more do you want?" She's pretty cocky. I'll give her that. Which is fine, that's just the way she is. However, it didn't work very well for her because they were both sentenced to life. Gary, however, was given a life sentence with a minimum of having to serve 19 years. Joanna, on the other hand, was given a life is life. So there's not that many people within the UK, especially women, that got a life means life sentence. She was only 30 years of age at the time of arrest, so she's got a very, very long time to think about what she's done. She is along in that category of life means life with people like Rosemary West, Myra Hindley, who are both notorious serial killers and child killers in the UK. Now, with her life sentence, you would think this would be the last we would hear from Joanna. No, not so much. Now, this girl thought that it would be an amazing idea to launch a legal bid to try and marry her Sally and lover, Hayley. Sadly, it was granted. The parents and family of Hayley was actually quite distraught about this, as they feared for Hayley's life, being associated, married to someone like Joanna. She's not getting out, but could there be repercussions on her when she does get out? I don't know. I don't know whether... I don't think people would generally go after her, to be fair. I think they want Joanna, not her. But again, who's to say? Joanna's daughter, who is now grown, went to see her mum at a prison. She said that her mum has changed in looks a lot. And, saying that she does hope that she dies in jail, that she hasn't changed. She's still that manipulative person that she always was. According to the daughter, Joanna is still sort of manipulating men. She's getting people writing to her because of her notoriety. She's married to her Sally. Apparently, they're trying to move the Sally to a different jail now, because obviously now that they're married, they don't want them being together, because that could cause some serious injuries to people. If somebody looked at Joanna's wife, that might not go down too well. And we all know that has the capabilities of being that person. I feel sorry for the kids in this sort of scenario when the mum has done bad things. She's stated and said that she is never going to be like her mum. She's not like her mum, and she's going to do better in life. So, good luck to her. Will we hear any more from Joanna? Probably. She's probably thinking of something as we speak to get back in the limelight, to get back in the papers. She'll do something. I'm sure this isn't the last we're going to hear of her. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.